The old man nudged a small log deeper into the fire with the end of a stick. Sparks drifted upward like tiny fireflies before disappearing into the night. The circle of listeners leaned closer, their faces flickering orange in the glow. For a moment he said nothing. Only the wind moved through the tall grass beyond the camp. You know, he began, voice low and steady, people spend half their lives looking for something they already have. A young man across the fire tilted his head. What kind of something? The old man smiled faintly, the lines around his eyes deepening. Satisfaction, he said. The quiet kind. He tapped ash from the end of his stick. I once knew a fellow who believed peace was waiting for him somewhere in the future. Thought he'd feel it once the bills were paid, once his work was settled, once his life finally looked the way he imagined it should. The fire popped sharply. But his mind, the old man continued, was like a horse that never stopped running. He gestured into the darkness. While eating breakfast, he worried about money. While working, he replayed mistakes from 10 years ago. While lying in bed, he imagined disasters that hadn't happened yet. A woman near the fire laughed softly. That sounds like most people. The old man nodded. That's because the brain is built that way, he said. Its job is to watch for trouble, to remember danger, to prepare for what might go wrong. He shrugged gently. It's a fine tool for survival. He looked around the circle. But it's a terrible master. The listeners grew quiet. You see, he said, every thought carries a feeling behind it. Think about bills, you feel fear. Think about a mistake, regret walks in. Think about tomorrow, anxiety takes a seat beside you. He swept his hand slowly through the air as if stirring invisible smoke. Soon your mind fills with stories, and those stories flood the body with emotions. The old man leaned back slightly, watching the flames. And beneath all that noise, he said softly, there's something very quiet. A boy sitting cross-legged leaned forward. What is it? The old man pointed to the fire. See those coals under the flames? Everyone looked. Beneath the dancing firelight glowed a steady bed of red. They've been there the whole time, he said. Even when the flames roar and crackle. He paused. Inner satisfaction is like that. It doesn't disappear. It just gets covered. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of pine smoke across the circle. So the fellow I told you about, the old man continued, finally tried something different. Instead of chasing every thought that ran through his mind, he began simply watching them. A girl frowned. Watching them. Like clouds, the old man said, lifting his hand toward the stars. They pass across the sky, but the sky itself stays where it is. He looked around the fire again. At first it wasn't easy. His mind kept dragging him into yesterday, into tomorrow, into every problem it could invent. A few people nodded knowingly. But slowly, the old man said, he began bringing his attention back to what was actually happening. He tapped the ground. The feeling of his feet walking. He lifted a tin cup. The warmth of his coffee. He closed his eyes briefly. The sound of the wind moving through the trees. The fire settled into a quieter burn. Then something strange happened, he said. The storms inside him began to calm down. A man beside the fire spoke up. But being calm doesn't solve your problems. The old man chuckled, a warm gravelly sound. That's exactly what the fellow thought too. He leaned forward slightly. But he discovered something surprising. The flames reflected in his eyes. When the mind stops shouting all the time, you start seeing things clearly. He tapped his temple. From that quiet place, better decisions appear. Problems that once felt enormous begin to loosen their grip. He shrugged. Life moves more smoothly when you're not wrestling every thought your brain throws at you. The group fell silent. Only the crackle of burning would remain. So the secret, the old man said gently, isn't chasing some new feeling or waiting for life to finally cooperate. He pointed softly to the ground beside the fire. It's returning to where you already are. The listeners watched the glowing coals. Right here, he said. His voice dropped almost to a whisper. Right now. The fire sank lower, steady and warm. The old man rested his hands on his knees and gazed into the embers. And when your mind quiets long enough, he said, you may notice something remarkable. A long pause settled over the circle. That quiet sense of satisfaction you thought was missing. He nodded toward the glowing coals beneath the fading flames. Was there all along.